This tutorial video is for all faculty who have taught a course utilizing Portfolio or who plan on using it in the future. For any noteworthy text you see in this video, remember that you can click pause to copy something down. Also, keep in mind that while it is nice that Google updates their applications often, those updates make it difficult for tutorial videos like this one to remain up to date. So keep in mind that some of the pages you see here might not look exactly like what you see on your screen. However, the general navigation shown here should help. In the spring of 2015, an ePortfolio task force convened to discuss the switch of platforms from the Mahara portfolio system to the use of Google Suite. The task force made the following recommendations. Use Google Sites as the primary general education ePortfolio platform instead of Mahara. Concentrate ePortfolio's application on a core set of general education student learning outcomes, and integrate Google Drive or cloud storage into a more broadly conceived practice of ePortfolio. At the end of spring 2015, these recommendations were sent out in a questionnaire to faculty requesting feedback, and the majority of faculty supported their adoption. The college, therefore, is moving forward with the transition of ePortfolio from Mahara to Google Sites and is continuing the use of ePortfolio to assess a core set of general education student learning outcomes. For your reference, the committee's recommendations will be posted to the ePortfolio resource site for faculty, which will be available shortly. There are many questions that come up with the switch from one system to the next. Over time, we expect a lot of these questions to surface. You will be able to find the answers to many of these questions in the ePortfolio resource site. In the meantime, we encourage you to share your questions and experience with other faculty. This video is intended to be an introduction to Google Portfolio at Albertus. This video will show the new learning template the committee suggested to use for assessment, explain how to tell students to submit ePortfolio assignments, provide information on where to find portfolio assignments, explain the support structure for faculty and students, and give basic information on how to make a web page in Google Sites. Let's start with the last item. In most cases, making a page in Google Sites is what students will do when you ask them to submit an ePortfolio assignment to you. As the instructor, you do not need to set up a Google site for your course, but you may want to see the site creation process so that you know what students need to do. You may also want to know how to make a site for other reasons, such as integrating an external web page into your course or creating a professional online portfolio. There are many online tutorials that explain how to create a Google site. In this section, we'll look at one of the How Do I videos available in the My Albertus portal. Alternatively, here's a link to written instructions on how to create a Google site. And here is a Google tutorial on how to create a Google site. Now we'll start the video. Those links will be made available in the ePortfolio faculty resource site.
Through your Albertus Gmail account, you have access to Google Sites, a free tool that allows you to build and maintain websites from within your Gmail account. You can use Google Sites to create a place for clubs to collaborate, to organize and store files that are shared with classmates or teachers. You could create a Google site for your own personal files, or use Google Sites as a place to store backup copies of your important school documents. You can also use Google Sites in conjunction with sharing Google Docs and Google Groups to create an integrated virtual workspace and file sharing environment online, or in the cloud as it's now called. To create a Google site, begin by logging into your Albertus Gmail account. Find the Google Apps toolbar on the top left-hand side of the page and click on Sites. This will bring up a page that will list any sites that you've created or any sites that have been shared with you. If it's your first time coming, you'll get this message that says, "Thinking of creating a website." If you'd like to create a new site, simply click on the Create button on the left-hand side of the page. You can begin with a totally blank template and personalize your site from scratch. Or you can browse the available templates and choose one from the gallery. Next, you need to give your site a name. Notice that your site name will automatically become part of the site's URL address. You can also select a theme for the site's background if you choose. The last thing you should do is click the More Options tab at the bottom of the page. Here's where you'll find the visibility settings for your site. The options include making the site fully public to anyone in the world, making the site only visible to people within the Albertus college community, or making the site private and only accessible to people that you invite to view or edit the site. Please note that if you make your site private and only visible to people by invitation, the people you invite will need to have a Google account in order to view your site. For most educational applications, you probably want to choose the restricted option so that you have control over who views the site. Once you've chosen the name for your site, a template or theme, and your privacy setting, click the Create button at the top of the page to create your Google site. This will bring you to the home page of your site. If you'd like to edit any page of your Google site, simply click the pencil icon in the top right-hand side of the page to bring up the editing tools. You can change the layout of the page and adjust how many columns each page has, or you can insert a wide range of options onto your page, including images, links, text boxes, videos, and lots more. Be sure to explore the insert options to personalize your Google site and make the most of the options available. Once you're done editing the page, click Save in the top right-hand corner. You can add additional pages to your Google site by clicking the New Page icon. It's right next to the editing tool in the top of the page. You can give the new page a name, and then decide on what type of page you'd like to add. You can add a general web page, an announcements page, a file cabinet, or a couple of other options. You can always change the page format later if you change your mind. The file cabinet page is a handy page to add to store and organize files that you can upload to your site. The last step is to choose how you'd like your new page to show up in the table of contents. Putting a page at the top level keeps the new page lined up as one of the main site pages. You can also make subpages by clicking this button and choosing to list a new page as a subsection of an existing page. After you've named the new page and chosen the template, click the Create button to create your new page, and it will now show up in the table of contents in the sidebar. You can navigate between site pages simply by clicking the page names in the sidebar on the left. The final step would be to share your site with your group or whoever you'd like to see it. To do this, click on the Share button in the upper right-hand corner. Type the names or the email addresses of the people you'd like to share the group with. If you've already created a Google group, you can also share the site with the group, which is a convenient feature. One other handy option is that you can share certain pages of a site rather than the entire site by enabling page-level permissions in the top right-hand corner. You should explore using Google Sites together with Google Groups and shared Google Docs to create a virtual, online cloud environment.
Now that we have seen how pages are created, let's take a look at the template to see where students will put all of their ePortfolio assignments. As a faculty member, it is important for you to know where the assessment of student learning will take place. For the most part, if you are teaching a course in which portfolio will be used, you will only see course-level portfolio work, not the 4-year learning portfolio. Students will share with you the portfolio pages they have made up in Google Sites for the assignments you have designed, and that is the only work you will see. However, students are expected to maintain a larger 4-year portfolio so that their learning over time can be made more visible. So what does that look like? At the moment, we do not have a complete example of a 4-year Albertus portfolio made up in Google Sites, so the template is somewhat conceptual. The committee, however, decided to update the learning template that was used in Mahara so that the students' learning over time will be more organized and focused. So students will be able to copy this template, and right now we're calling it the Albertus General Education ePortfolio Template, or Albertus's ePortfolio Learning Template. We imagine in this area students will put some introductory information about themselves. Here I just kind of put some lorem ipsum text to fill it in a little bit, and perhaps a picture of themselves somewhere on the page. Over here on the left we have the main areas where the learning outcomes will be targeted. Those learning outcomes being creative thinking, critical thinking, dialogue with the other, information literacy, writing intensive courses, and we have a section for the major as well. You can see these arrows indicate that there's more information or subpages in each of those areas. So if I click one of these areas, using this naming convention, we see that the student has created pages for other classes that fall underneath those targeted learning outcomes. So for example, in this creative thinking area, Charles Smith has created this page for an undisclosed class. We can click on it and he's created a project, maybe a video project or something. He's embedded the video here on the page and has written a little something about it. Again, this text is just kind of filler. Here a student might have a reflection or something else. You notice there's an area at the bottom where the student can also attach a document. So we wanted to keep this simple and just kind of show everyone what this could look like. So these pages aren't built out completely, but we imagine a 4-year portfolio will be quite substantive, especially the major area. And these things could then be gleaned and cleaned up a little bit and perhaps be used for a portfolio for something else. Ultimately, the course level portfolio work you assign to students will fit in the appropriate sections of the 4-year learning portfolio. The learning portfolio was designed to be practical. Not only will it be used for assessment of the curriculum, but with some help from career services and faculty, the academic work students complete will be showcased as evidence of learning and skills. Here's how students will get the new learning template. Generally, they can start off in their email and look for this icon over here for the rest of the Google apps. Scroll down and click on Sites. From here, click Create. And then they'll browse the gallery for more templates. And here they just want to locate the Albertus General Education Portfolio template. So they will click on that. And later on that might be called something else, but for now that's what it's called. And they will simply select it. And then those pages will become part of their Google Sites so that they can begin working in that template. They don't need to do this for every class in which they're enrolled, just that one time, perhaps early on in their career here in one of the ePortfolio classes or in Introduction to College Life. At this point, students will have the 4-year portfolio and can begin creating work for your courses and organizing that work in the respective sections of the template. Now, let's talk about how to communicate to students the portfolio page submission process. Unlike Mahara, when you use Google for Portfolio, there's no need to set up a group to receive and view students' assignments. While there are some immediate advantages to skipping that step, it does mean that a greater effort should be made to communicate the portfolio submission guidelines to students. One very important guideline to follow is the proper naming convention for artifacts like papers, projects, and for the portfolio pages they submit to you. The naming conventions will help assessment teams locate student work more easily and will help you find students' pages when they are sent to you.
For example, let's say you teach a British literature course. For the designated portfolio assignment, you want students to write a comparison and contrast essay and post an accompanying reflection onto a portfolio page. So with most portfolio assignments, there should be a targeted learning outcome, and students will really start with that when they begin working on this. So for this assignment, let's say the targeted learning outcome is critical thinking. So let's pretend I'm the student for a moment. I am on my general education template page. I go to critical thinking. I just kind of click on it. I see what pages I already have created under critical thinking. So I want to start a page because I want to submit this assignment to the instructor. So I click this option here to create a page. And the first step is to name it. So there should be proper naming conventions for this. So just for this example, I'll write Charles. Okay. And because I'll attach a file to this, I'll make this a file cabinet page. Now it's important to know where this page is going to go so students will know how to do this. I want it to be a subpage under that critical thinking part of the navigation. So I'm going to choose put page under critical thinking. That's good because it makes them think about what they're doing. Of course, we want them to do that. And this assignment will fall under that label critical thinking. Okay. And then I'll click create. Okay, so here's the page, and as the student, I can begin working on it. So I'll click this edit option here. And let's just say I want to introduce the assignment, and this might be my reflection. So I'm just going to put in some fake text here. And the instructor asked me for this British literature course to attach the file, attach the paper or artifact. So I'm also going to click that file, and I'll locate the file up top here, which is the Word document or paper. So I can see that it is attached to the page right here. And then the student can save the page. Generally, these Google pages will save automatically every few seconds or when a change is made, but the students should save the page every once in a while too. So I'm just going to click save. Okay, and I have this notification here that the changes have been saved. So let's say I'm done with this assignment now as the student. When they're done, students will click share on the page. Okay, and they will go to this box right here and search for your name just by typing it, and then the options will come up, and then they will click share or send when they're ready to send it off. To make this process less cumbersome, you may want to be clear about whether or not you would like to receive email notification that their assignments have been submitted. So you'll see this option down here that the student sees to notify the instructor by email when this assignment's been sent out. So if students leave this at the default settings, you will receive an email when every student shares portfolio work with you. If you would not like that to happen, you'll need to tell them to uncheck that option.
It would be a good idea to make up a script or some kind of addendum to your portfolio assignment description so that students have all of the information they need to submit their work properly. If we all adhere to using these naming conventions, finding, organizing, reviewing, and assessing student work will be much easier than it has been in the past. The same British literature page that was submitted for the course can have subpages so that work can be done at designated times throughout the semester. This is similar to how collections were used in Mahara. The rationale for this course level work is to show how students are reaching a targeted learning outcome. As students collect more artifacts that target other learning outcomes, they will organize them into their 4-year learning portfolio, where all of their required ePortfolio work is housed. Now, let's talk about where faculty can find ePortfolio assignments from students, which is, as you know, a very key part of the ePortfolio workflow. Provided students have explicit instructions from you on how to submit their portfolio assignments, finding their work should not be difficult. If you have told students to leave the appropriate area checked when they share their page, you will receive an email when their work is complete. If you have not chosen that option, or even if you have, all sites shared with you will appear when you click Sites in this area.
This is the area where you will see student portfolio assignments when they're submitted to you. This is the site's landing page, and you can get to this by clicking this icon from your mail when you're in Gmail. And once again, you'll just click on it and click on Sites, and you'll be brought to this page. Right now there's not much here because not many pages have been shared out with me just yet. This area will show all of the pages and sites you have created, as well as any shared with you. As more pages are shared with you, this area will become lengthy. We do expect some degree of scroll here at some point. Alternatively, if you are searching for one student in particular, you can use the search field at the top of the page. The main reason why the naming conventions are in place is so that student work is relatively easy to find in this area. So once again, it will show up with last name, first name, semester, year, and course number. Whereas Mahara had groups that were created based on classes, here all ePortfolio work shared with you will be listed. As we start to use this more, it may be possible to organize these submissions according to class, year, or other kind of group.
Lastly, let's talk about the support structure for faculty and students. The Center for Teaching and Learning Excellence will provide information on best practices and ePortfolio pedagogy. The ePortfolio resource site for faculty can be found under the ePortfolio Initiative section of the CTLE webpage. How will students receive training and support? The ITS department will be available to help students with their ePortfolio work. However, the student's primary contact with the tool will be in the Introduction to College Life course, and in the event the student is a transfer, the Transfer ePortfolio Lab course. In addition to the first year Introduction to Portfolio, students will revisit the portfolio again in CC 213, Sophomore ePortfolio Lab, which is offered each spring semester. For help designing and creating portfolio assignments, please contact Garrett Dell. For information on how you can have a tech tutor make a visit to your classroom, please contact the ITS Help Desk.